All right, welcome to another DragonLance Saga review episode. It is Bakukul Pale's Welt the 22nd. My name is Adam, and today I'm going to give you my review of Reavers of the Blood Sea by Richard A. Knaak. I'd like to take a moment and thank the DL Saga members, and of course invite you to consider becoming a member by visiting the link in the description below. You can also pick up DragonLance gaming materials using my affiliate links. I am sick, so I sound different. My brain's not operating 100%, so I'm going to do my best here, but a little grace is appreciated. And clearly I'm in a different part of my house because I was kicked out of my office. My son came home. I've got friends coming over. It's going to be hectic in this house. So for a little while at least, you're going to see me in this weird backdrop whenever I do live streams or reviews. Okay. So this is my perspective only. If yours differs, that's all right. Leave your comments in live chat or put them in the comments after the fact if you're not watching live. I didn't give anyone a heads up, so I don't blame you if you didn't know about this. Sorry. I literally stayed home sick today, and I was like, you know what? It's the end of the day. I'm feeling a little bit better. Let me just do this. I don't even stay home sick. That's like a weird thing when you're an adult. You don't really do that. At least I don't really do that. I felt like I was cheating. I was like cheating on my boss. It was weird. All right, so this is a very different Chaos War novel than all the other ones because it's not only, of course, we're dealing with the Blood Sea of Istar and we're dealing with Mithas and Kothas and the Minotaurs specifically, but it deals much more with the gods' influence in this area and with these people more than any of the other ones. And it's weird because the gods are like dealing with chaos, right? Like they have way bigger things to deal with than talking to a Minotaur hero. But when you're dealing with Richard A. Knaak, he just cannot leave Kaz on the bench. No one puts Kaz in a corner. He has to keep bringing him out in everything he does. And he does that in this as well. And I'm going to be honest with you. I'm tired of it. Like I enjoyed Kaz the Minotaur stories for what they were. But when are you going to stop? Like, come on, man. Really? You just going to keep writing about the same guy even though he's been long dead and gone for thousands of years? All right. We all have our things. So this is focused on Aryx, a Minotaur who is a direct descendant of the legendary Kaz the Minotaur. And it's set, of course, during the Chaos War. What I found interesting was that we open with Aryx. He's not like a soldier or anything that I was picking up on. I mean, he's just a Minotaur on a fishing boat, and the boat is attacked by these like crab monsters. And then he's like left for dead. He's picked up by some human cleric of Kiri Jolith and like brought back to health, and then of course delivered to the Minotaur Isles, where he's basically set in a time when the Knights of Takhisis are coming in. And this is the weird thing about this, right? In every other instance, the Knights of Takhisis invaded the lands and owned everyone. Like, they defeated them. And sometimes it was just they came up to the walls and said, look, we're going to mess you up if you don't just, like, let us take over. And, you're probably going to be better off if we did take over. And in a lot of cases, they were. And so a lot of people in a lot of countries, in a lot of cities, like major cities, just let the Knights of Takhisis in and willingly let them set up law and order. And while they were under the control of the Knights of Takhisis and, the Queen of Darkness and all, actually it reduced crime, and it reduced like all of the problems that they were suffering from when there was no sort of law and order. Just an interesting side note. And so ultimately, in this case, the gods have to convince the Minotaurs that, hey, it's okay. It's okay to let these puny humans take control of your world, and we're going to need them to be in control. And the Minotaurs are like, come again? Say what? This doesn't make any sense. So Sargonnas has to actually appear as an anthropomorphic, like Minotaur self. And he actually challenges, he opens the challenge, like, whoever thinks that they know better than me, go ahead and, step up. a dude actually steps up and he whips his ass. And then Sargonnas turns into a human form and he's like, hey, you, and points at Aryx. He's like, meet me in my temple. And then he goes up to his temple and Aryx is just like a regular guy. Like he doesn't have anything about him that's special except for being the, legendary descendant of Kaz, which I guess is a great weight. And so he gets to the temple and the temple priest is like, you can't come in here, sucker. He's like, but the god said I should come here every day. And he's like, oh, all right. Well, if he said it's okay, then come on in. That's it. So he goes in and he literally talks to Sargonnas, the god. And he's like, all right, nice to see that you showed up. Come back every single day. Peace out. And he kicks him out. And so he comes, this is so weird. Like saying it out loud, it's very strange. So he comes back like day after day, and ultimately the god is like, all right, you're a strong warrior, and you're a good guy, and I want you to be my champion. And Aryx is like, I don't like any of you gods. Like, y'all kind of suck. And Sargonnas is like, yeah, we kind of do, but, and I see that you really like Kirri more than me, and that's okay, I guess, but really, you should, be my champion still, because we got a lot of shit coming. He's like, but why do we have to have the gods? I mean, why do we have to let the humans take over? And he's just like, you're not going to understand why, so just accept it. At no point that I can remember does Sargonnas, who is basically begging Aryx to be his champion, tell him, oh, well, chaos is invading our world and we're all going to die if we don't work together. And this is how we're going to work together. Like at some point, he tells him that this is the Queen of Darkness's will and that he has to go along with it. And there is some mention about chaos sort of attacking the world, and that's what those crab creatures were that, assaulted him and almost killed him at the very beginning of the novel. But this is really a political novel about the Knights of Takhisis and the Minotaur Empire and how they are trying to work together with this sort of weird abstract framing of these crab creatures invading the Minotaur Isles. And then Aryx and all of the other Minotaur leaders whipping the crabs' asses, and the Knights of Takhisis going like, wow, these are really great warriors. This is awesome. But we really need to get to the mainland here soon. And so the Minotaur Empire sends word to the Kazalati, who are, in islands far away, to come and help, and they don't show up until the very end of the novel. And at this point, we've already got Aryx being met by Sargonnas and having dreams about Sargonnas and being given an artifact sword, like this ancient artifact sword of tears by Sargonnas, which is like this intelligent demon-possessed sword trying to convince Aryx to do all these weird things. And then we've got the gods disappearing at different times. We got Kirri popping in dreams. We've got Kaz the Minotaur showing up in dreams, telling Aryx he's got to step up and be the man or the Minotaur that I guess he's supposed to be because he's Kaz's descendant. I don't know, man. And the thing is, I was really enjoying this when I was reading it, but when you reflect back on it, there's a lot of weird stuff in here. Aryx is given this dragon eye from this dragon that was slain in the Age of Dreams. And with this dragon eye, he can see things that other people can't see. And so when the gods have clearly left, by the way, the gods leave, but they come back all the time in this. It's really weird. So the whole timeline of when chaos dies versus when this story is over is wildly unclear. Because there's a point where that cleric of Kirri, who is still hanging out with Aryx and stuff in the Minotaur Isles, helping to, for some reason, this cleric of Kirri is fine just kicking it with the Knights of Takhisis and with these Minotaurs. And he's like, yeah, I don't have power anymore. Whenever I try to use my magic, it just doesn't work. And then Aryx with his little dragon eyes looking at him, and he sees his whole body glowing. He's like, you have power in you. You have power in your heart. Clearly leading to, no, you can use mysticism, the power of the heart, to heal people. You don't have to rely on your god anymore because the gods are gone. And that wasn't supposed to be a thing until Goldmoon figured it out. Through the help, actually, I think, of Takhisis, if memory is serving right. But it wasn't supposed to be like just some random occurrence that just sprouted up around the world. The whole premise was that Goldmoon brought healing back, just like she did originally in Dragons of Autumn Twilight, which is her legacy. And then she was supposed to teach everyone at the Citadel of Light how to use and manifest this power within themselves. That's her whole character arc. But now that's completely overdone by this random guy who can now just use the power of the heart to heal people and stuff. It makes literally no sense. And the repercussions of it is that it like completely drains him and ultimately he loses it all. So there's like this weird finite well of mystic energy inside of you, and if you use too much of it at once, you become scarred and weak. It doesn't make any sense at all. Like this is the description of testify sorcery and arcane magic in Krynn, not mysticism or clerical magic. And so I don't know if Richard A. Knaak was just, maybe he forgot those sort of world rules, or if he was just trying to lean into, oh, we're in the 5th age now, get it? Haha. But whatever it was, it really kind of bothered me. And then the big bad guy is called the Coral. So it's not chaos, and we're only tangentially suggested that these are agents of chaos unleashed, like demons or entities or whatever. In every other Chaos War story, it's like creatures of fire and shadow, and you know, they like the Daemon warriors will wipe you from all existence, but these are like just crab warriors controlled by this coral, which is, in my mind, I'm thinking back to Moana and the singing crab with all the jewels, this shiny crab. That's how I pictured him in my mind. And I guess, like, these are the actual, well, I can't point in front of it. These are the actual crab people attacking Aryx right here from the very beginning of the book. And that big tentacle thing is actually the coral. And there are points when he is almost, like, dies, and there's some interesting, like, sort of one-on-one existential battles within Aryx's character and without. And that's interesting. But the gods were way too involved, and that's saying something for a Dragonlance story. Dragonlance is known for the gods being involved in all their stuff, and for this book to be too much of that, that's next level stuff. So we've got the Minotaurs fighting to save their homeland from the Knights of Takhisis initially, and then the Chaos creatures, which are all these like crab people. Aryx, this reluctant hero, is thrust into the situation that he doesn't want to be any a part of, but the gods Sargonnas and Kiri-Jolith won't let him not be a part of it. They demand it, presumably, of course, because of his ancestors. I didn't like the Sword of Tears. I didn't like Sargonnas appearing in mortal flesh, especially to his own people as a human. Like, why would you do that? It doesn't make sense. I don't know why Kaz has to show up. Like, you can't just have a character find it within themselves to survive and step up to their own, if not legacy, then their own expectation or the expectation of the empire at large. You have to have some third party convince them. That didn't make any sense to me. Kiri-Jolith showing up and talking to him. Like, why does he even like Kiri-Jolith? It's never really explained. Because Kaz liked Kiri-Jolith? Is that the only reason why Aryx likes Kiri-Jolith? That's a piss poor reason. Like, you should have some personal reason why you connect with a god, if you're going to connect with any gods. And I like the idea that you don't. That's why I like Tanis's character. He was pissed at the gods because they were so involved with everything. He didn't let mortals be mortals, or they didn't let mortals be mortals. And that's what it seems like Aryx is supposed to be, but then as soon as the gods show up, he's just like, oh, okay, cool. I guess I'll just do whatever you want to do. I don't know. I didn't think that the characters were all that great in their writing. Again, with Richard A. Knaak, there's, that whole you pass out in liquid and then wake up and someone's healing you. That's in every single one of his books. Every single one. When a character should die, they find themselves floating in water and saved by someone else. Like, all right, dude, that's a trope. Like, I get it. That's your thing. But there are other ways to tell stories. Sargonnas seems like a tired wimp in this. He's totally kowtowing to his queen. Of course, I get the situation, but he's even seems coming off as whiny to the minotaurs, which, if you're a god and you're coming off as whiny, that's not a good look. Kiri Jolith just opens up a whole bunch of questions and stuff. Hey, Corey, how you doing, man? And there's no real straight answers in any of this about why this is happening or why they have to follow these knights. And then even when the knights and the minotaurs agree to work together and the Kazalati fleet comes in, it never really goes anywhere. The whole premise is the Knights of Takhisis come to the Minotaur Isles to collect them to get to the mainland to fight chaos. But the whole story takes place on the Minotaur Isles. And then once the Kazalati fleet shows up, they go into the Blood Sea of Istar. They're around long enough to see the Blood Sea calm, and everyone freaks out. But then everything else happens under the water with the Coral, this entity, and Aryx and his woman as they're fighting and trying to defeat him. And then that's when Sargonnas shows up again. But he's already supposed to be gone. The world was stolen away. So how is he showing up now? So the timeline is completely timey-wimey, if you will. It makes no damn sense, the specific cutoff points. And then the use of mystical magic with the Cleric of Kiri Jolith is just totally threw me. I really didn't like it. It just shortcuts Goldmoon's character entirely. The Knights of Takhisis keep speaking about a great vision, and they must only be referencing their vision with their queen because they're never really told or they never convey that they are destined to rule all of Krynn, not because they deserve it, but because all of the gods have agreed that in order to fight back against chaos, that is why. They need a unifier force. That is never once overtly stated, which is a little frustrating because that's the one reason why everyone agrees. And especially in all the other Chaos War novels, that's the one understanding that leads the Elves of Quillinesty to work with Takhisis, the Knights of Takhisis. Even like Tanis half Elven would have understood it had he not got his ass killed in the High Clerics Tower. Okay. I don't know. They never really win these crab chaos creatures. It's like this never-ending flood of crabs that they just like waves crashing against the Minotaur axes and stuff. So there's no real fear that they could lose. They're just like Richard A. Knaak like didn't want to show his Minotaurs as being weak or something, and so they're just this insurmountable force, which belies the entire premise of the novel. Because if they're going to be overrun by chaos, why aren't you showing how horrible chaos is? If the Minotaurs can literally just defeat them at all times, what's the point? I don't know. I'm looking over my notes and I'm trying to find other points here. Yeah, I just, in the end, I felt it was an okay novel. It's a Richard A. Knaak novel, which means you got to take the good with the bad. You know, the writing, I shouldn't say the writing, because the writing is good. I actually like his writing. I think he's a good author. But he leans into tropes, and he can't seem to shake the character Kaz. And I get it, we Dragonlance fans like that, but at some point you have to be able to stand up and tell a different story on its own merits without being connected to one character that you had created 40 years ago. You know, it hasn't really been that long. I don't know. I was hoping it would be something a little bit different without some connection to anything. You know, it could just be Minotaurs fighting chaos. And that's not what we got at all. Hey, Engine Joe, how you doing, man? So that's kind of it. So if you like Minotaurs, you should read this book. If you like Kaz, the Minotaur, and you like Richard A. Knaak's writing, you should read this book. If you're a Dragonlance fan who wants something new and different and consistency during this period of time, you could probably skip this book because it's totally inconsistent and it's really frustrating for people who like consistency. And if you like actual dangers and potential deaths, you should probably skip this book because there's no real threats. When it comes to Minotaurs, they will always win when Richard Knaak is writing them, always. And look, if you like that, that's great. but I expect more. I expect real stakes, especially when this is the 4th in a series of 5 novels talking about the Chaos War, where our world, where the world was decimated by chaos, and yet the Minotaurs are just like, what's the problem? Like, come on. All right. Anyway, I feel like garbage, so that's all I'm going to do for you guys today. Sorry about that. I've actually already read The Siege of Mount Nevermind, which is a horrible novel, and I'm going to try to review that tomorrow. I have it all set up and stuff. I don't really feel like doing it because I feel like crap. So, expect tomorrow there to be The Siege of Mount Nevermind, and then I'm going to be moving on to the Bridges of Time series after that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, actually, I'll just read the outro. It's easier that way. That's it for my review of Reavers of the Blood Sea by Richard A. Knaak. What did you think of the gods' involvement? Did you enjoy Aryx as a character? And finally, is Kaz overhyped at this point? Feel free to email me at info@dlsaga.com or leave a comment below. I'd like to take a moment and remind you to subscribe to this YouTube channel, ring the bell to get notified about upcoming videos, and click the like button. It all goes to help other Dragonlance fans learn about this channel and its content. I also want to take a second. Hold on, I have a little screen here. Let you know about my new project. I've been developing a system-agnostic dark fantasy campaign setting called Direlands. Not next week, but the week after. We're going to be doing the 3rd part of a 3-part storytelling of an adventure set in Direlands in the DL6 game system I built just for Direlands. You can watch that. Just check out the link to my Evil Live Play YouTube channel in the description below. And remember that this channel is all about celebrating the wonderful world of the DragonLance Saga. Thank you so much for joining in that celebration. Jason, great to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you. Corey, Injun, how you guys doing? Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. And everyone else watching this after the fact. I appreciate you still paying attention to the channel when it's clearly gotten less of my focus because life has gotten in the way. But I am always trying to return here, and I'm always trying to bring back a little bit of reviews, a little bit of playthroughs, a little bit of something, because I love me some Dragonlance, and I'm super glad that you guys do too. All right, so thank you for watching. This has been Adam with Dragonlance Saga, and until next time, Salan Javar.